I'll show you a Final Fantasy.
Headshot cam. How sound.
Anyway, welcome to Final Fantasy X-2, the stupidest name for any Final Fantasy game imaginable.
I mean, a Roman numeral followed by a normal, modern number?
The Arabian number, that is.
Yes.
What does this game think it is? WrestleMania X7? Welcome everyone to my pitiful, tragic, embarrassing, and quite frankly disfiguring initial playthrough of Final Fantasy X-2. And I will explain why that is the case in a minute, but before any of that, picture this, alright? Let's have a bit of a role-playing game within the role-playing game, shall we? Imagine you are me. You are turning on this game for the very first time and you see this very intriguing opening title sequence that features this tragic, yet hopeful, sad, yet spirited little piano tune that gives you the idea, the wrong idea, that this is going to be some sort of sad, depressing romance rather than a epic fantasy game, but either way it sets the mood quite nicely. Now you are curious to see what this game is all about, so you start the game and you have badly translated J-pop blaring through your audio devices. And you receive complete and total tonal backlash over that.
I hate to say it, but that's actually the least of my problems with this particular Final Fantasy.
wait, I've only just started, you see.
I know, but I was only going to say that, really, so carry on.
Right, so in spite of the tonal dissonance between the opening title credit sequence and the actual beginning of the game, which is this ridiculous J-pop concert, which is not half bad, in my honest opinion. It was quite an explosion of color and music, that was nice and all that. Then the cutscene ends and I am in the mood for a fight, and we start a fight immediately. And I get to see what the battle system for this game is. Which is approximately the time in which I received my second backlash in less than 5 minutes. Because this is nothing like the battle system in the previous game. It has changed so thoroughly, it's downright alienating.
You want me to hurt him?
Every Final Fantasy featured something different in terms of battle system and whatnot. It's actually the selling point of the entire series, how it's diverse and variable that way. Since this is supposed to be a direct sequel to the story in 10, I would assume the battle system would be somewhat similar, but no, it's completely different in the worst possible way. So you might remember how I loved the turn-based battle system, the pure turn-based battle system from Final Fantasy X. They have gotten rid of the active battle system, involves strategy and everything in between. It was great.
Yeah.
And then Final Fantasy X-2 comes around, Not only it brings back the active battle system, it is the most OCD rendition of the active battle system I've ever seen in this entire series. I could not make heads or tails of this game from the very start. It was quite a journey, quite a roller coaster, whereas the roller coaster was made in Roller Coaster Tycoon, that is.
Yeah.
I've struggled all throughout this entire experience trying to find some sort of common ground, but it continued alternating between interesting and wholesome bits and not so interesting and not so wholesome bits, not to mention the random spikes in difficulty when you least expect it, and all of the other problems I've already mentioned in a previous occasion with all of our friends.
Yeah.
The only reason, the real reason why I am even bothering to show you this footage is to just give you a mild idea of what I had to go through in the very beginning of this game. What almost caused me to rage quit right there and then. And it is the most ridiculous, baffling and befuddling little detail imaginable. You will not believe it, and I seldom would find anyone else who could be stuck in something like that in a game like this. I cannot be the only one, I hope, but if I am, I'm sorry, this really happened to me.
Think this machina's
I remember getting stuck at several points in this game, actually. Myself, actually.
Yes, well, I bet it was not the very beginning. For a really dumb reason, too.
I don't remember getting stuck at the beginning. I got stuck at some point much later, where the difficulty spike got a bit too ridiculous, for my liking, but I still got past it and completed the game.
So this is probably the most I've ever been angry with a Final Fantasy game. In between 10 and 10-2, this is the most I've been angry at a JRPG or a game in general. I've already regaled you with my tales of headbutting my own controller, as far as Final Fantasy X was concerned.
Yes, I know. Oosh.
So you're getting a brief taste of what the battle system is in this game, and really, if you don't know what you're doing, it looks like a complete mess. What exactly is anybody doing? The positioning of the playable characters compared to the enemies, spells being cast at seemingly random time, it looks like anarchy!
Yeah, it's completely chaotic, essentially. If it sells a battle, then sure, but at the same time, it's like some people can't, make sense of that when it comes to the player interface.
Yes, and especially coming off of Final Fantasy X and how I was used to that particular system, only to be thrown immediately into this chaos without rhyme or reason, and it took me a long while before I managed to get used to it. But eventually I did, and I started to appreciate what its strong suits were. Still, I preferred the system in the previous game.
Oh! Who's there?
Hey, look, it's Miss Doronio. She's looking for the Dokuro Stone. We must stop her and her Dorombo gang. Yes, Yataman reference that nobody will get.
Yes, I actually do get the Yataman references.
Yes, because these three are so obviously inspired from those trio, or I should say, the very same trio that exists in every single series in the Time Bokan meta franchise. They're all the same three people, really presented and repackaged in slightly different ways. But yes, they are the most iconic and imitated trio of comic relief villains in the history of Japanese media. Team Rocket wouldn't exist without them.
Yeah.
Pretty much. So of course, imaging my snobby self when everybody thought, oh, it's Team Rocket, right? No, you ignorant plebeians, you Philistines, you know nothing about anime.
Well, of course not, because not all of them are into anime. go for the obvious choice. That doesn't make them any less, right.
Listen, I know that, rationally speaking, but I'm trying to be funny here. Come on, man, you're killing me.
Nah, I'm not doing that with this game. This game is trying to be funny in its own way.
Yes, well,
Already.
some parts of it were legitimately funny, but really the funniest parts of this game were the moments in which it wasn't trying to be funny.
Yeah, I have to admit that this game, I like to take you back to when I bought this game, actually. Because I bought this on the original PlayStation 2.
Get your act together!
As in the original iteration of Final Fantasy X-2.
Ah, yes,
which,
the one in which you could not skip these transformation sequences that you see right now.
Yeah, basically, the original release of Final Fantasy X-2 didn't have the last mission, nor did it have, basically, monster capturing things going on in it.
Oh!
Yeah, that was not in the original release of this game, so that's interesting for you to know.
Yes, what is the last mission anyway? I don't think I unlocked it, or something along those lines.
The last mission is essentially, playing as Yuna, Riku, and Pain climbing a tower, and it was basically supposed to cap off all their stories, show what they were doing in 6 months or something.
You know
like that.
What would have been actually useful for the purpose of this game?
What?
Maybe showing the time in which Riku and Yuna met up with Pain. So maybe I would have had a reason to care about this sudden addition of a character that makes no sense otherwise.
Yeah, I know, right?
What is the deal with Pain? Her reason to be in this game and be involved in this story is about as flimsy as Riku's reason to exist, really. If they needed a sexy goth to complete the trio of marketable fetishes, they already had Lulu! And guess what?
know, right?
Lulu had an established relationship with Yuna, so you wouldn't need to create a whole new character. You wouldn't need to explain why she was with Riku and Yuna in a action-packed trio of marauders or whatever they're supposed to be, because we already know who Lulu is because of the first game. Also, she's incredibly agile and evasive, so she could fit in this battle system, but no! She had to get pregnant with Waka's spawn of evil. Honestly, this does not make any sense, and it's especially bad when you considered the Eternal Calm cutscene, which is included in this HD remaster. That cutscene explains that Yuna's and Riku's journey actually began only about 2 months, maybe less, before the beginning of this game. So in that short amount of time, they met up with Pain, they befriended Pain, and they became such good, long-lasting companions that they even had their own established dynamic.
Yeah.
Who is Pain? Who cares? You did not give me any reason to care about Pain. Oh my god, she's just a Rule 63 Squall Leonhardt.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh, no, even worse than that. She is the prototype for Lightning. Look at her. Also, look at me failing this tutorial boss battle because I have no idea how am I supposed to play it because this game is pulling my attention apart towards several different directions.
Oh boy. So, yeah. About my experience with this game when I bought this, essentially. I decided to buy it just out of curiosity, essentially, more so than anything, because it's like, this is the first time Final Fantasy were gonna have a sequel to a mainstay title. Plus, the marketing was very, well...
The marketing was well?
Yeah, well, because, I mean, they showed off Yuna with her hot pants, and it's like, what the heck happened to her? Because, you know, she was like this woman who was wearing a long skirt, looks very reserved and such, and suddenly, boom, Lara Croft, hot pants.
Yes, well, this game clearly had one specific Final Fantasy demographic in mind. Or maybe they were trying to lure in a new demographic altogether. Which eventually led us to where we are now, in which a Final Fantasy game is led by a J-pop male idol boy band. Just running around in the countryside with their sports car, and there is nothing less appealing to me than that. For your epic fantasy game.
Yes, agreed.
And this is the thanks I get for going easy on you.
Who does she think she is?
She's getting hurt.
Oh, look, they have to do an objective of beating them to the top.
Okay, so this is it. This is the part of the game in which I remained stuck for the flimsiest of reasons.
Yeah. So, when I first played this game sort of thing, I was very open-minded, because I didn't think much about the opening sequence, other than this is different and interesting, because the fact it's basically Final Fantasy telling me not to take it seriously right now.
Oh god.
Yeah.
Except when it was trying to be taken seriously with the opening title credits.
Oh yeah, the very solemn title credits with that piano medley. I gave it a chance for the longest time just because I thought to myself, okay, I can work with this. This can be fun. Only to have my nitpicky nature come into play, you know, basically saying, no, this doesn't work. This doesn't work.
Does it really count as nitpicking when the flaws are so glaring and game-breaking?
I could work with some of the gameplay issues. I could even deal with the difficulty spikes, except for the side bosses, which I was not... Well, one side boss, I will not mention this because we talked about that particular boss in a podcast.
Yes, we did.
I got through this game with sheer determination and luck, I'm assuming. Well, that and maybe some grinding on jobs here and there.
I've gotten past this game thanks to the Alchemist class, really.
Yes.
And
some
the
jobs...
Psychic class and the Berserker class, they are game-breaking classes, let me tell you.
Yeah, pretty much. So essentially, I was basically left feeling neutral to the game rather than angry, because the fact that there were certain bits I enjoyed, but there was other things I didn't think gelled well together, both from a thematic and a, narrative standpoint.
I'm surprised that this game was so short, actually.
It is quite short, especially if you decide to accidentally not do any of the side stuff in this game.
You kind of have to do them, otherwise you don't get much experience.
That's what happened to me the first time I played this game. I didn't realize that I would lock myself out from doing all the side stuff and basically be underleveled for the main story.
Yes, speaking of terrible things happening to good people.
You're getting lost in the environment, aren't you?
Yes.